again, as has the case with most of the sessions that I have done in the ITSM ESM Masters community, this is not going to be a slideshow presentation. We will use Mentimeter, however, and using Mentimeter, all of you can participate. So you will drive the conversation, you will share what you want to talk about, and at the end of it, Dave, courtesy of Trundle, will be giving out a gift card to one of the lucky winners. And Val and Rebecca and I and Rahul are not part of that group, sadly. So
Aww.
that's okay, Val. That's okay.
Yeah, next time, Dave. I'll
There
be
you
looking for
go.
you guys in 2026.
Yes. I see Rahul is in the chat, so let me just add him as a panelist as well. Hey, Rahul.
How are you?
Good
Hello.
evening. I'm glad to have. I was just telling these get this group apart from you usually connects like once every couple of weeks at other conversations, but
Got
because
it.
all of us are part of this Atlassian Champions, a community user group, but I wanted to have a very experienced user voice. And I worked briefly with you in the past, and I know what Kinesium does, I know what you do, and what's your working style. And I thought this conversation would be like carved perfectly for you to raise your points, share your concerns, and with everybody else as well.
I,
As
I,
of now,
I thought
yeah.
I thought you invited me, Sajid, because you heard that I've now taken over the administration of our own Atlassian.
you you have probably done that. I don't doubt it. I don't
Just
doubt it.
just recently, I think over the
Nice,
last month or so, I've been going through, and you
nice.
know, over the years, things every system degrades over time,
Of course.
and especially as we continue to use it without really taking into consideration as to what the decisions were that were made before. And every time we have
Nice.
a new person joining in a leadership role, they put their own stamp, and so we ended up creating a mess. And so I've
Nice.
been working on cleaning it up, and Jairaj has been very helpful
Oh,
in taking care of it.
Jairaj is a legend. So yeah, I know
Yeah.
how you feel. Awesome. So we've got 25 people now. We are just 1 minute up on time. So we'll officially start. Let me begin by thanking Val, Rebecca, and Rahul for joining me. If you're just joining the ITSM-ESM Service Masters community, we are a virtual first community. We do in-person events at team events, like we did one in Barcelona, we did one in Anaheim, but it's always tagged to a team event. But other than that, all events are always virtual and will be. All community events are always free. And this series specific that I run is called Unfiltered Conversation, where we don't have a presentation. We just have a Menti slide where you decide what we want to talk about. You weigh in your opinions, and we'll start with that. While I share my screen and let you guys know how you can scan the QR code or enter the code at menti.com and start posting in your questions, start posting in your comments, in your weightage on the topics that I have given. I would ask if my panelists could do a quick introductions. We'll start with Val, as she was the first person to join today.
Well, thank you for having us, Sajit. It's always nice to talk to a new community. My name is Dr. Valeriana Colon. I am a Rovo community champion. So I work with your forums, your community-led classes. I get to collaborate with amazing people like Sajit and Rebecca in the champions community. I have a PhD and a master's degree in linguistics and a bachelor's in product. So it all comes together to give me lots of insights on LLMs and AI, but by no means do I get it all right. So please do always check my answers, verify, and pull on each other's collaborative knowledge. There is no Rovo queen. Sometimes people call me that. I am not a queen. I share it with the entire court. Everybody has to be a Rovo or an AI expert. I pass the mic to Rebecca, my favorite
So
collaborator.
just one note, when you mentioned, Val, that you share your insights, I heard you share your anxiety with people when you talk about AI.
Yes, I do. Sometimes.
Yeah. That as well, anxiety about Rovo. My name is Rebecca. I'm also an Atlassian community champion. I mainly do online stuff. and also help out my local community in Cologne, Germany. But I'm basically just hosting them. They do all the organization and the hard work. And I work for an IT consultancy, and we also are an Atlassian partner. So I keep myself busy with trying to figure out what Rovo is and what Rovo does, and how it will affect my customers, but also us internally, because we also work with Atlassian systems. And I ask all the hard questions that Valerie has to find answers for most of the time. So yeah, I'm currently quite busy with governance stuff on Rovo, and not so much about features, because a lot of other people cover features a lot, but don't ask hard questions. So that's why I'm here.
Nice. Rahul?
Thanks, Ajit. Thanks for having me. I'm the co-founder of Kinsium, and this is the first time I'm joining such a panel, and very impressive co-panelists. I'm an administrator and a user of both on the Atlassian suite, and been implementing some AI agents within my organization across several areas, both in terms of service management, in HR, finance, and most importantly in project management as well. So that's my involvement with AI.
Nice. Awesome. So for everybody else, I see there are 11, 12 people in the Mentimeter. You can scan the QR code and can move on in the slide at your own pace. I will share this on the screen as on the question that we are on, but feel free to just go on to the slide, and as and when you move on, you will see the questions. Like, for example, the first question that I ask all of you is, where are you joining us from? So I see some people are joining in from India. We've got some people from Europe. I'm sure there are people from North America. I see 20 people are now on Menti, so that number will keep changing. We'll come back. Let's have a quick look at our first icebreaker. How much is already in your day? Let me start from my panelists. I would not ask Val. I will start with Rahul maybe on that one. How much AI is in your day, Rahul?
I did select my Copilot has a Copilot option. I use it quite a bit.
Yeah, nice. Val and Rebecca?
So I'm not using it. Well, I probably use it daily now, but I wouldn't call it using it, because I'm more like trying it out. So I would say days where I really benefit from doing stuff in Rovo or in ChatGPT and stuff is certainly not every day yet anyway. So I'm still in the adoption phase.
Sure. Val, I know the answer, but I'll still ask.
So I spent a lot of time in my AI world doing various different things in my personal work, not my personal work, in my consulting work. We are a silver Atlassian partner. So I use it in documentation, training, process improvement, but I also use multiple AIs, not just Rovo, because I have to stay on top of what are the current bugs, what are the current workflows, what are the trends in the industry. Also, terminology changes quite frequently. So it is a constant researching task.
Nice. I feel like I was having this conversation with somebody during the Barcelona summit, which was about what AI means for all of us today. So as I would say, as users of tools, while we think of AI as an assistant which we chat with, we sometimes don't realize how much AI has already penetrated. Like, I was giving the example of Spotify playlists. Every day when I go to the gym to work out, I play one of the Spotify playlists, which is curated for me by Spotify. And I'm amazed with the amount of music that it picks up from my own history, like a obscure late 80s one-hit wonder song would be part of my gym playlist. And I was like, yep, this is the perfect song. The AI knows me even though before I am asking. So it definitely is for work. For yes, it's there. We have to ask questions and get answers and see reports. But I'm seeing the trend in everybody here as well. So people use it as an assistant, but we're somewhere around 30% use it as a teammate as well. Any of you feel that there's a major difference when you talk about AI using as a teammate or AI as an assistant?
I'd say an assistant, you still need to give tasks to and explain what they're supposed to do, whereas a teammate has a thorough understanding of what work needs to be done and how it has to be done and what quality standards are, and it potentially does it on its own without me having to ask it.
Nice. Yeah, that's ideal. That's an ideal definition. I see some people have written supervisor as well. How would AI be a supervisor? Val, what do you think? Can AI be a supervisor?
I think right now, if AI is supervising it, it is one of them that you have to coach up. Most definitely. I hear on the news all the time how like Google has everybody is coding. AI is coding like 75% of their code base and doing all of their coding for them. And I'm like, yes, that's great. And that's really aspirational. But how many AI architects and experts are out there watching that AI very, very closely and are paid millions of dollars to do it. So supervisor, maybe someday, maybe some roles, but right now it's only for the select few of the grandfathers of AI or grandmothers.
So, Sajid, I can give an example of how we're using it as a supervisor. One of the things that it's always been a challenge is that anytime you have let's say if you have a team member that's attending a client call or a support agent that's actually attending a client call, or even a salesperson that's actually talking to a customer and making promises, you always have this situation where you're the player and the referee, right? Because you're the only one that's on the call with the customer or or with the prospect, and you are recording things and you're stating it. Of course, there are solutions like Read AI, Fireflies, and so on that is basically capturing all the content. So what we have done is within Teams, we built an agent that basically logs into the calls. It's tied into our Atlassian customer database. So we look at who's attending the call and we figure out which project it automatically belongs to. And we are logging in the meeting minutes and so on. But we are also running it through sentiment analysis to figure out, number one, what are the commitments that are being made to the customers or the prospects, and automatically creating Jira tickets for those based on the deadlines that have been provided. And also, if the sentiment on the call is poor, then also tagging the leadership team so they can actually step in and address any potential concerns, review and address concerns before it becomes a real issue. So from that perspective, as supervisor, you can be on every single call, but we are leveraging AI to basically go in and track these items and escalate the right items to the supervisors. So
I love that idea. Okay, I revised my answer. So sentiment analysis, good point. Like that does need very little oversight. I do have an accelerator participant who rewrites everybody's Confluence page. And I think that's really brave. Like I would get so much grief if I rewrote everybody's Confluence pages, but she's in a position where she gets no pushback from whoever the writers are, but her AI agent goes in there, grabs all of their Confluence pages and puts them in a similar format and then puts metadata in it. She's an expert in knowledge management. So she's big on all this metadata and it does it automatically. She sets it and I don't want to say forgets it, but leaves it to itself. So that's very cool.
Nice. Awesome. So let's before we actually go into the questions with my amazing panel, I wanted to clarify this is what I mean, and I think this is what the dictionary definition is as well for the a little more complicated topic that we usually have. So when we say augment, we talk about the human and AI collaboration, and when we say automate, it's the AI driven execution. As Rebecca was saying, when we call AI as an assistant, we give them a task and the task is done by the AI. That's more on the automate side, where you ask somebody to do something. Hey, get me a coffee. The AI gets you the coffee. That's your assistant. That's your automation. Augment, where you are probably sitting with the AI telling, hey, I must this much milk, this much cream, this much sugar. That's your collaboration probably. That can be confusing as well, but that's the generic idea. With that being said, let's look at the biggest question that I had to before we start. Augment or automate? What do you guys think? Rebecca, we'll start from you.
So I think it will assist us more than it will take our jobs, at least for the majority of people. So I can't think of like many roles that would just disappear because AI is now here. They just look different. I mean, we're seeing like a lot of issues with AI generated content already. And when we speak of AI now, we mainly mean Gen AI, right? So AI generating content or augmenting content. And now AI is being trained on AI generated content. So it gets worse and worse and worse over time. So I think, yes, it can help us, but it still needs that human input, and we can't automate it all. And that's going to be like a point in JSM later on probably as well, which I'm going to make, because we still need humans interacting with each other and not AIs. So I'm just not a fan of this whole we automate it all idea, I guess.
Nice. So yeah, I kind of understand where you're coming from, Rebecca, because the thing that you said in this conversation or this sentence that you said was still, we still need humans, right?
Yeah.
How far along are we in the future when that still goes away? Then the conversation, completely changes. But like I 100% believe right now, we are at mostly augment with some automation, but it's you work together because the AI is not smart enough or AI is pretending to be not smart enough so that we feel good about ourselves. One of those
It
two
is
things.
pretending to be smart enough, and
Yeah.
it really isn't. Yeah.
Just making an intentional comma misuse or like, an extra finger in an image generation just so we feel good about it. But yeah, so anybody feels differently, Val or Rahul?
No, I think I agree. It's mostly augment with some automation. You can never remove the human element completely. And yes, there are some routine tasks that, there have been automation all along. And today it seems like everything that you can automate, we call it as AI. And
Yeah, that's true.
that's truly not the case.
Yeah.
And I think, basically there are a lot of places where I see we can augment things. But it definitely needs right now where the technology is, it definitely needs some supervision and sure that things are being done right.
I see Skynet has infiltrated our Menti as well. Like one person says strongly augment human roles. So some AI element is already in here. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the service side of things, right? So when we talk about agents, when we talk about people who are helping customers solve the problems, and most of the system, I want to keep it tool agnostic. So I don't want to only talk about Atlassian tools while still being more majorly focused on ServiceNow or JSM or Rovo in that aspect. But when you look at agents' daily workflows, the audience says ticket triaging is one of the most important part of an agent's workflow that should be or can be, automated so that he focuses more on incident resolution or other items. What do you guys think, Val? Do you think ticket triaging is the biggest thing where it could be done, or is there something else that I have not added in here as well?
Oh, I was just going to throw something in the chat. I probably should do that when I'm on mute. But two concepts I want to throw out there. One, hybrid. So you put in the automation and augmentation, and I think that's a good framework to put around that. But I throw out hybrid on the concept that there will be tasks that the AI is responsible for one piece of the puzzle, and the human is always responsible for the other part. One of the hybrid concept is form design. So an AI might suggest all the forms and maintain all the forms, but the human has to go in there and edit it by project and ensure that it's catered around. So various different tasks that might have a hybrid approach. And then the other concept I throw out there is agent to agent. So in the future, in the near-ish future, the big AI providers are going to start introducing agent to agent actions where in concept or in theory, the agents work together to perform tasks and the human is not involved. Now, I want to see how that works out in practice, but it's one agent doing something, ping-ponging it to another one, that one ping-pongs it back, and then creates some kind of workflow or action or a series of agents. So I do think it's going to reshape Jira Service Management admin and workflows. Which part is going to be interesting to see? That's the dun dun dun.
I feel like performance reporting and insights did only get one vote, but I feel like a lot of teams look at that, and that might be what Rahul was earlier saying, right? Like we kind of think everything is AI, but like reporting is not considered as an AI. The interpretation of reporting is of course something which is dependent on a human element. Do you think reporting is something where the artificial intelligence could do a little bit more work, Rahul?
It is possible, Sajid. I think the idea is that if you have structured data, then your reporting does not require AI, right? I think where AI can add value is if you're going across unstructured data and graphs and so on. So I think personally, where I've where I've seen the most value for an agent is more in terms of instant resolution recommendations and knowledge creation, right? I mean, of course, in order for you for AI to recommend resolutions, there should be a knowledge base that should be created first,
Right.
so it can go after the knowledge graph. So one of the things that we have started doing a little more recently is, yes, there is always when you have a ticket that's coming in or a work item that's there in JSM, we always start tagging in the cause, issue, resolution, and prevention, the SERP. But now with AI coming in, we are placing a lot more emphasis on it, and we've added a review layer to the SERP reports to make sure that we are building our knowledge base. So over a period of time, the graph becomes better and better. So the AI tool can actually start suggesting resolution recommendations. So I think that's basically where we are at, and so it's a combination of both the knowledge creation and the instant resolution recommendations.
Nice.
Yeah, I would agree on that on queues. So like managing heavy data queues. So like if you have 3,000 tickets in your queue and you set up that agent can then group it on like kind information, whereas the human would take forever. And so that's something that they could do independently. And putting in comments for who to recommend, like what team to recommend it to, I could see it doing very well. Request type setup. That's something that an agent could do independently without oversight very well. Some of the things like reporting, I think it would be more hybrid, like getting the data visualization, pulling the data together. I would say an agent could do independently in the future with a degree of accuracy, but the leadership part of the interpretation and then guiding the team to make those data-driven decisions, that's going to still remain 100% human. Right now, though, I do caution people when you set up your analytics, make sure that it's fully pulling from all of the information. Because right now, when you first set it up, it's not consistent. It pulls from some of the data. And over the time, it does improve, but do check your numbers.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a good warning to keep on tap of in any report that you look at when you look at AI is involved. Okay, we talked about incident resolutions, and this is a very interesting split because it's kind of like a split between the early incident detection and prioritizing critical defects. For me personally, identifying the term critical when it came to a defect is very subjective. Like it could be very critical for one customer that they are not able to like work. Dave and I had this customer, their entire workflow revolved around using our app because from there their work started. And we had one glitch during an upgrade where they had to manually update and their Jira admin did not, and that caused some issues with that customer, and for them it was a P1 error, but for everybody else it was business as usual because nothing changed much and they upgraded on time. So prioritizing what critical might be a little farther down the road personally for me, but I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think it's any of these, or like where do you see the anomaly? Rebecca, let's start from you.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about the incident detection rather than the criticality, because I think what would be interesting is not just checking, right? So how many requests on a specific topic did we get, but pulling in data from other sources. Let's say the product team finished up a Jira ticket that said, "Oh, we deployed something," or we see that in Bitbucket or in the build pipeline or wherever else, and we can actually sort of like check, right, has something happened in that product that would explain a rise in requests, to just like reconfirm, is it an incident or is it just a coincidence that 10 users are asking a similar question at the same time, right? So we can not only just check our service management, but also other data like way faster, as long as it is connected. And we're seeing like all the major platforms have some form of graph layer as their database. So I think that will be quite interesting. And with that, they will also be able to understand what's critical and what's not better than they used to, I think.
Rahul, before you
Uh,
share your input, sorry, Ribal,
Oh, no,
there is one comment that or another layer that I wanted to put on this, so that gets a little deeper. Uh, when I was starting my career in project management, one of my seniors told me, and this was in Hindi, so it might not translate very well. It was like, look busy and you'll always be appreciated. Right? It was a very crude version of that in Hindi. Why I'm telling you this is the early incident detection is something that your engineers, your solution architects, your consultants, they keep an eye out for, right? And they see something and they fix it before it goes into production. So that is like the preventive work of that skill of that person usually doesn't get noticed much until an AI agent or something else, which is a tool, finds it and reports it and becomes a very big issue, becomes a bug crowd thing where people are earning money from it and all that. Do you think that human element will become more delayed and more laid back because we are becoming more dependent on AI and tools finding the fault in the work that we are doing?
I want to jump on this one because in my experience of how my job focus has shifted over time in using AI is I don't have more free time. Guys, cry for me. It's just where my time is dedicated is different. So instead of writing user guides or training people on how to use user guides, an AI will do that for me. And then I spend a good majority of my time troubleshooting issues with AI and writing agents. So I would love to think that since AI does a lot of my tasks, like, yeah, now I have a ton more free time, I can relax and chill. No. How quickly my time was sucked up by other tasks was amazing. And I think people are going to find the same thing, especially admins. If it's not happening already to you all, is the time that you spent maybe filtering the queues in your JSM is now dealing with challenges that people are having, more judgment-centered issues, escalating oversight, communicating with different teams, explaining AI culture, and the whole nine.
Yeah. So, Sajid, to answer your question, to me, I think predictive analytics, the idea of early detection through predictive analytics, it works by leveraging, historical data and real-time signals and machine learning models, right? I think the idea
Right.
is to use those to spot patterns. And yes, your experience and what you're saying, the senior people looking at things and identifying things is great, but then there is a limitation to human mind in terms of how many points we can look at the same time and so on. I think that's where I believe AI can add a lot of value, which is especially like, when you're talking about looking at patterns based on historical data and you combine that with real-time monitoring and so on and correlating it across multiple sources. A good example is, imagine a service desk system that's like, it notices a 20% spike in CPU usage, suddenly and then correlates that to an incident that happened last time where your systems went down and then raised an early alert. I think those would be invaluable, right? Because I think from a human perspective, by the time we even look at it, we react to it, the incident may have occurred. And that's where I think we can definitely use predictive analytics quite a bit. And I agree with Val. I feel like I keep telling people that I'm at least 50% more efficient right now, but I don't see that free time happening. That's because again there's so many new things, cool things that can be done, and I'm hoping that at some point it'll saturate, and then we'll have we can then act busy.
Yeah. Okay. That being said, I think it perfectly ties into the next question, which is which human skill do you think becomes more critical, or it always is critical? It's surprising people have not put empathy. For me personally, that becomes the most important thing. But critical thinking, of course, right up there. Problem solving in new scenarios, because when you don't have data, you need new scenarios. So, what do you think is the do you see any anomaly, or do you agree with the audience?
I think it's all three skills matter, but the importance varies by context, right? I think critical thinking, somebody was just saying, I was reading the chat, I think it's James that was saying that is being enhanced by AI. Yeah, AI can generate the answers, but humans must evaluate the relevance or the accuracy of the data. And communication is important, especially when it comes to service management. It's still about people, right? I think empathy builds trust and resolves escalations. I was working with Amazon today about an order today, and I was very frustrated with the chatbot, and finally had to get to a human who resolved my issue, and again just doing the same thing but just being a little more empathetic. And yeah, as we talked about predictive analytics, AI handling patterns, so problem solving in new scenarios, it can definitely enhance the human creativity when it comes to that.
Val and
I love
Rebecca?
how I love how we don't mention empathy. Like Saji, I mean, as we become more robots, our empathy is going to fade into nothingness. I do think having empathy in the age of this stronger relationship with AI is going to be very important, and authentic empathy. So Meta, not Meta, it was Facebook. Is Facebook Meta? Meta Facebook. I never get this right. Got sued not so recently because they had AI bots being a little too empathetic, and there was some critiques about like inappropriateness going down, especially with minors. And I was like, oh, that's just a whole new level of maybe we don't want our machines to be empathetic. So I'll put that bug in people's ear. And then on this list of skills, I think critical thinking is going to be, if you're going to tackle these skills, I think like Raul says, all of them are important. But critical thinking should be probably the first one you master, because in order to accurately engage with AI in prompting and creating instructions, you really need to think critical about what you want that agent to do and how to prompt it the best way to get the best responses. And it's not as simple as just putting the words in and accepting the answer. It really is evaluating the sources that the agent pulls from. Are those sources credible? Is it appropriate for my use case? Is it appropriate for my audience? And the whole 9 yards. But I'm still stuck on the empathy thing. Thank you, Sanjeev, for planting that seed.
I 100% feel it. Like I was reading an article where I think Sam Altman said that it doesn't matter whether you say please and thank you to Chat GPT. It's useless. You just use it. And then somebody had written under that blog post, it will count when AI takes over.
I was gonna say, like, it doesn't count now, but it will eventually. So I pick critical thinking as well, because one, you can leave out in an AI-driven environment, and it still is the most important answer. Like, critical thinking is like the one skill that we all need in modern times. And especially when we look at AI outputs, like AI is so biased, and it's proven time and time again in like different scenarios. So to like recognize these biases and know about them and actually seeing them in the answers is so important to then be able to improve those answers to not include those biases anymore.
Sure.
And that involves knowing biases of the AI, but also knowing my own biases so I can actually create helpful input, because that input is then used for more AI training eventually, right? At least like as input for agents, but possibly for AI training in general. So we want the AIs to be less and less and less biased. And in order to do that, we need to create 0 to at least little biased contents.
Nice. All right. Let me take it to a little more on the side of adoption. When we talk about adopting AI, again, when I'm talking about adoption, I'm specifically talking about in our workflows, in our everyday daily lives. What do you think is the biggest challenge? People say over trusting AI. I personally would go towards resistance to new workflows, because that change management is not something that a lot of team leads focus on. And of course, there's fear of role reduction. But over trusting AI has shown to be the biggest answer among the 36 people that have voted. What do you guys think?
I think, sorry, just because it connects to my previous answer well, I feel like, you know, that the outputs are just taken and then reused. And yes, we should all read them, but do we really do that for like long outputs? I don't think we do. And I see that more than people actually resisting. Like the average person I'm working with, they want to use AI and they want to have all the tools and they don't want the governance. They just want the AI tool to do the work for them. So I don't see a lot of resistance. I see a lot of AI is great and let's just do it and it all does the work for me and it's, you know, it's going to solve all our problems.
Yeah,
Rahul?
one of my biggest challenges is not even listed on this is with global adoption, we do a lot of tool first conversation. There's this great tool out there. You should use this great tool. Everybody uses this great tool. And then people use the tool and they're like, how do I actually use this tool to help me? And then, whoa, this tool doesn't actually work the way I want it to work. And that's the problem with product first thinking when it comes to adoption. We need to think problem first thinking. We do this so often in all of IT, but we forget that when it comes to AI, we start thinking of the glitzy products. And when you start with problem first, what are the problems that exist in my workflows and how can I use AI to solve them? Then we find more value. And once we find that value, then adoption becomes easier. Right now, a lot of the pushback that I get from people, second to that, is the governance part of it. They kind of don't trust it. It's not working the way I want it to. I want it. Before, people weren't understanding what AI can do. Now they understand what AI can do and are working ahead. So what I see a lot on the forums in Atlassian is people are like, it doesn't work because of X, Y, and Z. And it's not that it doesn't work. It's that Atlassian hasn't configured it to work at the depth that people are looking for now. It's still very shallow. And now that people understand what it can do, they want all this. And I'm like, oh man, I want that too.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Rahul?
Sayed, I guess I was the minority here in terms of understanding the question, because I read this as the biggest cultural challenge in adopting AI, and then I realized that over trusting AI would mean that you've actually adopted and you're overusing it.
Sure.
So the way I look at it, again, within my organization, when we started talking about AI probably over a year ago and so on, and there's definitely, I don't see the fear of role reduction, even in candidates when we interview, we don't see it. But I think leadership not setting direction is where I look at it, because for us, even though we've been talking about AI for a long time, it's only when we started setting clear direction in terms of, I mean, first, I'd say it's on me, not on anybody else, for me to understand, how we use AI and what's the right way we plan to use it, and how we can actually leverage it to add value, for everybody, and setting the direction. That's when our adoption started increasing, where we're able to clearly look at it and say, okay, as a development organization, as a support organization, here's how we plan to use it. And more importantly, AI is not just about going to ChatGPT and asking a question. using the right tools and making sure that we are setting up the rule set properly. So, everybody is doing things consistently, and of course, making sure that the IP is protected as well. So all those things. So I think from my perspective, setting up that right direction and educating the team, and most importantly, we always feel that if we are using AI to do something and get an answer, there's this thought process that we're probably cheating, right? So getting into that mindset that is actually the first thing you should do, and you should use using AI to come up with an answer is actually a good thing and not a bad thing. I think that direction is something that has to come from the top and the organization.
It's a mindset shift, right? Like when in the early days of using Grammarly, we used to correct our grammar rather than posting it and somebody else correcting it. You using Grammarly to correct your own typos. Like it's a mindset shift, which might take a little while. But I 100% agree. Hearing that makes me think of something else that I actually don't have a question now that I thought about it. Is there a metric that you're using to track whether the adoption is going as per the initial plan, Rob?
It is depending on the team. I think from a development perspective, we look at it to see what percentage of code is being auto generated, and we can use it.
Nice.
From QA perspective, we're also looking at how many QA runs have we reduced. The idea is to basically have the QA team focus on generating the right scenarios and test cases rather than just running the test case again and again. So basically using AI to generate the right scripts, and then using Playwright to have the devs use those Playwright scripts as part of their unit testing itself. So
That's awesome.
I'm going to jump in on that. Some of the adoption metrics that I use are active numbers of users using it, prompt volume per users, how many connectors are, repeat usage ratios. But Atlassian did do a major purchase, $1 billion major purchase of DX, and they are trying to get, from my interpretation of this purchase, more analytics, dashboards, and metrics to, one, increase governance, which is very, very needed, and two, give people the analytics to track adoption and really understand how people are adopting AI.
Yeah. 100%. Like when I saw the DX acquisition, that was the first thing that came to me. It was like this will help resolve a lot of problems that leadership specifically would have when it comes to tracking and monitoring. But let me move on. I see a little behind on the time, so I know, Rebecca, you had to leave early, so if you do, please let me know. If you can stay for the full hour, it'll be awesome, because it seems like we are going to go for the full hour.
I can stay for a little while. Yeah.
Awesome. Big question. When AI recommends something wrong, who should be accountable? Now, I know all of you have selected shared responsibility. I personally feel it is more towards the option 3 and 2. Please, let me give my point. I feel like a developer who is just using on the guidance of the team lead or the managers or the senior organization team members who had configured those settings is what's the right word, is least bit influential in deciding what ways to train the agent, or what is right and what is wrong and what data to look at. So it can't be it has to be shared responsibility, but between the teams who configured it and between the teams who are leading that effort. Please correct me if you seem like you've seen different cases. Val, maybe we'll start from you.
Who's responsible? Well, I see a lot of blame on the vendors. That's usually the first people go to. Sometimes I'm there with you. If I see the same problem come up over and over again, and then I'm like, vendor. I would go with shared responsibility. I mean, first and foremost, it comes down to who configured it, on whether or not it's working right, to the leadership and how they implemented it across the teams. So sometimes people just cookie cutter it and say, hey, everybody use this tool the same way with the same prompts. And each situation is different, and how people use various different. Finance doesn't use it the same way HR does. They have different needs, even if it's the same use cases. There's a lot of blame to go around. But I know, Rebecca, you're going away. What are your thoughts on this one, Rebecca?
I can actually stay until past. It's fine. So I think Frank made an interesting point in the chat, where also the person who asked the AI is sort of part responsible. I would add to that, depending on what that person actually added to the input. So if that person's just clicking a button and that person cannot control what the AI uses as an input, then the people who wrote that input are responsible, and that could be the people who configured the agent, but that could also be the people who wrote the Confluence pages that the agent is reading, because if the Confluence pages are wrong, then the agent can't give you a proper answer. But I would say, I mean, the decision of who's responsible has to be made on a use case basis, because for easy use cases where it's just sort of like knowledge generation or check with your data use cases, the harm being done when the agent is giving a wrong answer is usually quite limited, because you still have to check the sources and, you know, the generated answer. But if it actually is a use case where the agent decides on its own, then it's much more responsibility, and you have to make sure to begin with that the inputs are correct, and the inputs are always correct. So the responsibility for that is a different one than the responsibility for the agent running correctly. But there's just so many sort of like moving parts in that, where you can never pinpoint it to one person, I would say. And yeah, it's just, I mean, no, that's my final answer. Sorry. It's a complex topic, and there's like a lot of these questions that you cannot really answer as a whole. You always have to answer it for specific use cases. Another interesting question is for instance, Atlassian Rovo the AI system, or is it one agent or an agent in an automation the AI system that we have to check and have governance for, especially in like EU regulation. It's like a defined term, but it doesn't answer what classifies really as a system or not, because you can find arguments for both, and it's the same for this question.
Rahul, what do you think?
No, I think Rebecca stated it perfectly. It's across the board. But if we have to answer who should be accountable as one person, the ultimate accountability will reside with the human that approved it, right? I think we've talked about earlier that anything that the AI suggests should be validated by a human and so on. So from that perspective, yes. But otherwise, everything Rebecca stated was perfect.
Awesome. All right. What's the biggest gap in preparing for AI-driven service roles? Do you think skills are something that we are lacking? Do you think AI itself is not ready, like data quality and readiness, governance around it? Val mentioned a lot about governance and roadmap. I feel like roadmap also gets, something that not a lot of organizations do what you have done at KenziM, Rahul, probably. It doesn't usually come from the top. I've worked or known people who engineers will start to push in tools and AI in their workflow so as to reduce their workload, and then it scales up a little bit to the top. And then I've also seen the difference that a lot of organizations would have in terms of the tiers of the paid subscription of those AI tools that they have used, differencing on the responses that those people are getting. But what do you guys think? Do you think the audience with the most focus on data quality and readiness is correct, or do you think you feel otherwise?
I think sorry, you go ahead. So I think data quality is the biggest issue if we look at the results we're getting, and we could have these results with any given tool, but in the end, somebody still has to decide what tool we're using, at least if it's a paid subscription, or if we put in data that we maybe not be allowed to actually put in there. So like if we have a look at the outputs, then data quality is a thing. If we have a look at the broader picture, then strategy and governance is sort of like an issue and questions that a lot of companies have not solved yet. I've actually done like an hour webinar on both these topics today, and a lot of people have not gotten an AI strategy, not really have an AI policy, and certainly do not have like a proper usage sort of concept for each and every tool they're using. And with AI tools popping up left and right, these questions are going to be more and more difficult to solve, because Atlassian wants to be that AI tool that connects everything, but Microsoft also wants to be that AI tool that connects everything. And then you also have Glean, who wants to be that AI tool that connects everything, and all these others. So you have to make a decision, and it's a really difficult one because it just changes so fast that a decision you made yesterday may be like sort of like overhauled tomorrow. So
Interesting. Rahul?
Yeah, from my perspective, especially, and the question is from the perspective of AI-driven service roles. So I'm interpreting that as the ability to use AI to handle the things that are currently done by humans in service in servicing customers. So from that perspective, the data quality and readiness is important, because at the end of the day, you can have the best algorithm and the best thing, but it all depends on data. I think that's the reason why X is restructuring their organization to get access to that data. So I would say, from my perspective, the biggest thing is data quality, because even the best algorithms need the data to be able to interpret and take it forward. Especially in a service role, it's our data, right? Not internet data.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that that data is prepared and structured properly.
It kind of becomes the world snake problem, right? Like it ends back on its own tail. To have good data, you need to have, an AI refine your data, and to have AI recommend solutions, you need to have good data. So somewhere some human intervention needs to be done so that the AI can be cleaned up, and then AI can look at that data and recommend better answers or give out better context to problems. Val, any closing comments on governance and policy, specifically with the focus on so many governmental policies, right? External factors come into picture, SOC compliance comes into picture, GDPR comes into picture. How do you think that impacting all of the adoption?
Yeah, for right now, JSM doesn't have as many AI features as the other apps, which then for governance is probably a good thing, because we got all these features, but we didn't get the governance in order to use them and control them to a degree that is required for adoption, for smooth adoption, let's put it that way. So the fact that there aren't very many features, it really does help us out, because if you don't have a lot of governance around your JSM, the scale of your problems increases. Like, you should definitely have some governance around Jira and how people use tickets, and then what AI role plays in that. But if you have JSM, it's like Jira on steroids, and you don't have governance there, it becomes a huger issue and a larger issue. And then you do have global enterprise organizations are responsible for global governance across the world. And our huge leaders are India, Europe, and the US. And if you're not plugged in and aligned as a product with those three big ones, and you're a global org, you have some serious liability. And it is all about mitigating that liability. So please do look into that if you are a global org.
Nice. Awesome. I'll just move on to the next question, because that's the open part of the conversation. So our audience has shared a lot of questions, and like a lot of areas where they would hand over to AI. I would keep this slide open for 1 second, because I know all of you can't see this. I'll try to put this out maybe on a LinkedIn post. But anything that screams at you, Val, Rebecca, that you think you relate with a lot. So like for me, I think repetitive work, or like, this is the most obvious answer, but like documentation, email responses, the first level at least, is definitely something that I would very happily give over. But like, not in every scenario. Like I remember when we were, and Dave can speak more to this. Dave, if you want to come on the video and speak your mind about this as well, because we added a automation where we added a comment that used to get added to tickets every time a new ticket was created. But like, it kind of defeated the whole purpose of, hey, we are a 24/7 team and we can respond to you, right? So that thing, like, it has to be taken with a pinch of salt. But like, Dave, let me take your input here as well. What do you
No,
think?
I agree with you
Seamlessly or anything
completely.
else?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. That automating repetitive tasks, I think, is sort of first priority for me personally. But at the same time, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because if your automation is not servicing the need of the requester, then you're not really doing yourself or anybody else any favors. In fact,
Yeah.
it could be frustrating to the requester that, every time I get one of these, hey, thank you, we got your request, we're on it, but then I don't hear anything for 3 days. That's pretty frustrating,
Yeah.
right? So I'd be careful with that type of automation.
Yeah. What about Rahul? What do you think?
Yeah, I think automating tasks is important, but if it is specific to my current job, I would say a lot of it would be around email responses and cleaning up my inbox. I think that it is repetitive, it's automated, but a lot of it is around making the decision on is this important or urgent, and so on. So being able to train and use that would be something that I would like to
See, this
gladly
is
hand
what
over.
AI is awesome for, right? Like, as we are speaking, I press space and Menti grouped all those responses into this. So yeah, we're just live seeing AI being better at what we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I jump on that one hard, Sajid and Rahul. Like, the number of times I save myself hours on responding to emails, finding trends in things, Slack messages, LinkedIn messages, and how to kindly and politically correct say no and navigate office politics with AI. I apologize to everybody I've ever communicated with from here on into the future, because it's probably it's me. I did the prompt that got you that response. It's just been smoothed out by AI, and all my typos go away. You should be happy for that.
Yep.
Rebecca, any pick for you?
Yes, so I put in manage my calendar, because I have like multiple customer accounts and customer calendars, and Outlook does not have a function where I can actually put them together. So constantly synchronize meetings. The issue is it's customer data, so we can't decide to put it in AI without them asking them first. So yeah, it's not going to be solved anytime soon by AI, unfortunately. But it's something I would gladly give to the AI.
Awesome. Perfect. With that, I think we are almost at the end of the session. The final question was, how can you think AI improve experience? Because that is something that we're just starting to talk about. Right now, it's all about efficiency, but experience is something that will probably become the next, focus area for AI. Because while we're talking about efficiency, it's good for now, right now, I believe. But again, in the longer term, empathy is in there. So, Val, at least, there are more people who are thinking in that direction. Anything that screams out at you guys? Let me start from Dave.
No, nothing that screams out. I think it's what I keep reminding myself is that it's early days with AI, and AI is evolving very quickly. So I'm very cautious about what I try to do with AI right now. Sometimes I find it's easy to spend more time getting AI to complete the task for you than it is for you to
Nice.
just do the task yourself. And in those cases, I really try to just focus on things that are repetitive, where I do want to invest the time, because this is something I have to do every week, and it's something I'm confident AI can do. And if that's the case, then I will invest the time to get it right. In fact, I used AI to do the gift card giveaway wheel of names, right? And it took me probably 2 to 3 hours to get to get AI to the point where it could do it reliably. But this is something I have to do 2 or 3 times a month, and it's a very repetitive task. So now I don't have to do it in the future.
Nice. Awesome. Rahul, what about you?
I think it's the same thing. I think I would say I mentioned email, and one of the things where I spend a lot of where I personally use Copilot a lot is if I'm writing an email and making sure that it is professional, it is concise, clear, and so on. So a lot of times I'm using those prompts. I'll type up something and then use AI to simplify it, because we tend to use a lot of
Yeah.
words to communicate the same thing that doesn't need
That's
to
true.
be so long. So,
Awesome. Rebecca, anything from you?
Uh, I'm pretty much on Dave's side. Like, I try stuff. I'm not yet convinced. I've had like a couple of things where I was positively surprised, but it's certainly less times than I was not convinced of the result. And I think the AI providers are just, full of these promises and people posting about what's
Sure.
working for them, and it's all great, but I don't see that yet. So I'm still a little bit skeptic. So focusing on getting the governance right first, and then hopefully when we've done that, we get the proper use cases and features ready.
So my answer is empathy, of course. But Val, what do you think?
I agree with you on the empathy one, and that goes into personalization. So whoever said personalization, we're like this, because the whole concept of LLMs, or I'm supposed to use my language, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to be able to give me a result that is responsive in a similar and you're learning me the workplace, the graph that Atlassian has is supposed to also be about personalization. So we have the data to create personalized experiences. If we got the personalization down, then we would intuitively know what features people want, how they want to use it, where they want to use it, and all of that comes out from there. That's just an idea, but it's a good question in general to think about.
Yes. Awesome. That was it. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating. There's almost 40 people even now at the end of the hour, with 36 being live on Mentimeter. Thank you for the feedback. If there is any questions, please reach out to Dave and I. May AI bless you. And I know Dave has a gift card giveaway that he would do. I know
Yep.
Rebecca has to drop.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
have
much,
to jump.
Rebecca.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much,
having
Val.
me. Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much, Rahul. Thank you so
thank you.
much, Dave. Dave, over to you.
So everyone, I apologize that you're not going to see the wheel. I can't share my screen because my system did an upgrade this morning, and now I have to go fix my OS settings to enable this screen sharing. So I apologize, you won't see the wheel, but I have a wheel of names that was created about 15 minutes into the meeting. You have to be present to win the gift card. But I'm going to spin the wheel, read off the name, and you're going to have to, in the chat, tell me if you're here or not. So here we go. Wheel of names with everyone that was here 15 minutes into the meeting. Done with AI. And the winner is Gary. And I know who Gary is. Gary, you don't have to reach out to me or raise your hand. I know how to get a hold of Gary. So Gary, you won a $50 Amazon gift card. Thank you to our sponsor, which is my employer, Trundle.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. Thanks, Val and Rahul, for sharing your input. It was an awesome conversation, just like always. This will be live on the ACE platform. So after, I think it takes around a couple of hours for it to put there, Dave. After that, it should be up there for you guys to see as well.
And we also
thank you,
have
everybody, and
a
have
we have a
sorry, go ahead.
YouTube channel too, where we'll put it on our
Yes.
YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yes, we have ITSM-ESM Masters YouTube channel as well. For folks who are new to today's session or join later part, Dave is my co-leader in this community. He runs events in the North America time zones, but we moonlight each other's sessions sometimes as well.
Hey, before we
Awesome.
hop off, Sajid, you have a new project going. Can you just tease us a
Yes.
little bit about your new project?
Yes. So thank you for that. Well, I planned to do that, but I completely forgot. So after running Are You Smarter Than, a Jira admin and Confluence admin for the last 1.5 years, successfully presenting it at Team Anaheim and Team Barcelona, one of my biggest achievements of last year. I'm collaborating with the legendary radio voiced Rob Heen on a new show. It's called the Robo Games. So think of Hunger Games, but much easier and much less bloodbath. We're going
And I
to
hope nobody
help
dies.
people. Yeah, less bloodbath, not no bloodbath, less bloodbath. We're hoping to teach people how to be better at using AI, specifically Robo. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. First event would be live on December 4th on the community-led classes. You'll find more information in the coming week. Yeah, I'm just super excited. This is going to be a new thing that Rob and I are working towards, and will hopefully help some of you incorporate Robo in your workflows. Awesome. Thank you
Yay,
for that,
awesome.
Val.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks,
I'm very
everybody.
excited about all the gamification that you do across the community, but really hitting on the Rovo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Bye.